and kind of the next story we're going to talk about, Trae Young frustrated with the new shooting rules. There's a lot of missed calls. This one to me, and I know Sean, I think the Pacers played him, so I know you're going to have, or the Wizards, I believe, played him. And it says right here they lost to them in the Wizards game. I will say this about Trae Young. Trae Young is also a foul hunt merchant. He's hunting for fouls, but he does it in a complete different way, right? I've talked about it numerous amount of times in the videos here on the live streams. His go-to move is to, kind of keep the defender on the back of him, and then as soon as he kind of feels the guy, especially going really hard on momentum, he feels the guy, stops, and because the guy, is trying to chase him, trying to make sure, trying to get in front, the problem is that some defenders, or some players don't do their jobs to get in front again. They kind of still stay behind the guy, and then as soon as Trae Young stops, they bump into him, and then now Trae Young draws the foul like that. And I do believe that is, it's a gray area with that one because, right, it's also manipulating to get those calls, and I think that stuff really should be out of the game. And again, Trae Young doesn't need to rely on that stuff, and I hope that, in being serious with this and with everything here, I think Trae Young passing ability is what sets him apart from a lot of these point guards. Has great point guard vision, something that a lot of players don't really see right now in the game. But, I think a lot of people know him for, foul hunting, shooting free throws, because that's kind of been his gimmick for the last couple of years, and they don't really know the real Trae Young, in my opinion. But let's kind of read the story about Trae Young and about the new shooting rules. So Atlanta Hawks guard Trae Young is not pleased with the NBA's new shooting rule. Young discussed the issue following the team's 122-11 loss. The Washington Wizards on Thursday, calling the change frustrating. Young prefaced his comments by saying he did not want to be fined by the league. Young then said a lot of calls were being missed due to the rule change, according to ESPN. This is what he said. There's a lot of missed calls, he said. It's basketball. It feels that they are learning, and they're just, I don't know. It's frustrating. The NBA introduced a new rule in the offseason designed to prevent players from drawing fouls or making non-basketball moves. When the rule was announced, many believe that the rules had the biggest impact on players like James Harden and Young. Young is averaging 24.2 points per game in 5 games, which is barely below his 25.3 points average last season. Young, however, isn't getting the points the same way. His free throw attempts have been cut in half, dropping from 8.7 to 4.2 per game. Harden's struggles are more pronounced. He's averaging just 16.6 points per game after putting 24 points per game last season. His free throws have dropped to a 2.8 per contest. Others around the league, the new rule changes the sports are the best thing the league has done recently. Watching the games, it's much different. And I agree with Kyle Kuzma here. Again, I don't necessarily, I'm not a big Kyle Kuzma stan. He did go to the University of Utah, so I will salute him for that. But I think it's right now. The NBA is doing a good job. And again, I talked about it in the previous story with the James Harden thing, is that I hope that the NBA refs are not going to revert back to their calls. Because I just showed people in the last video, and I'm going to show you guys here in the live stream right now that are watching me here live. James Harden shot 19 free throws tonight on the 29th, right? After they implement the new rules, everything like that. And I just don't want to see that when it comes to Trae Young. Maybe not so more so Trae Young, but more so I don't want to see that as a thing. I don't want to see people complaining so much that those rules have to change back, and now it's like, okay, now we're still in that gray area. I understand the refs have to do a lot of learning, a lot of like, what is a non-basketball play, what is a basketball play, and that's where Trae Young's game is very, I would say, gray area in that regard. Whereas, James Harden, like you said, Sean, in your chat, Trae Young's foul strategy is way different than hooking people's arms, and that's true. I showed you many videos of James Harden trying to hook in the arms, and again, ESPN, these videos, autoplay, stop. Again, Trae Young's strategy, again, is trying to feel the guy behind, stop, have the guy's momentum carry him, and then draw that. Again, that could be a gray area because that is technically a basketball play, but it's something that you don't really want to see from your star players. You don't want to see them go to the line, like I said, 8.7 times in a game. Whereas, James Harden, again, does the hook. Again, as soon as the guy has the armbar up, James Harden is looking with his off arm to hook you and then try and draw the foul. And again, that to me, like I said, is frustrating because I think that it is one of those things you look at it and it just kind of, I would say it would piss off any defender trying to play in the game right now, and that's kind of where my frustration would be for right now. But again, Trae Young, I think he's going to be fine. He has so many more skills and assets than trying to be a foul merchant. Um, I think James Harden is the crown, the king when it comes to that. Damian Lillard could also kind of be in this category as well because his points per game are down due to to the new rule changes. And as the story continues, a lot of people, we can talk about Trae Young being fined $15K for making contact with the official, and I want you guys to be the judge of this one. Um, and then I will. And again, let me see if I can zoom in for you guys a little bit. I can zoom in for you guys right here. And we can talk about, like, is this like fair contact with the ref? Again, he gets a technical call for that, for touching the ref. Trying to draw the foul, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right? Again, we can watch it here. Drives, boom, tries to get it. Again, makes contact with the official and then gets fined 15K. And again, I think that this is a gray area. It depends. Maybe he said something. If he did say something, then yeah, you probably should get fined because I don't think that this is necessarily the right thing, right? It's one of those things where I understand you're frustrated because you're not getting that call. I think that's also something that he feels is, frustrating for him. But at the same time, like, we can't be awarding everything to be a foul. And this is something that I think a lot of people deal with, whether it's pickup or whether it's just in the NBA. Like, everyone wants the foul. Everyone thinks that they've got bumped off. But I think right now, there is a lot of players just being off balance and not being on balance when they're making that. And again, these are elite athletes. They're gonna be making off balance shots. They're gonna be doing crazy stuff. I'm not saying that they won't. But I think my frustration right now with everything when it comes to this stuff is, you just have to play your game. And again, Trae Young is not, to be honest with you, he's not dealing with a lot of stuff right now in terms of, like, I believe his game is going to be just fine. If we look at ESPN and kind of look at his stats, right, and we go to Trae Young, Braves are still up. That's awesome. And we go to the NBA right now, and we go to the Atlanta Hawks, and, kind of look at what the stats are for him. Again, 10 assists a game, 24.2 points. And to me, like, this is what Trae Young is to me. Like, he's going to be this guy in the league. And again, I think this is a success. Like, Trae Young, 24, 10, and almost 1.2 steals a game. I mean, obviously I would love that to be 2 steals a game, but still 1.2, that's not bad. But the 10 assists are what's more impressive to me. As we kind of look at everything, I think Bogdanovich is, I think he's kind of, trying to get back into shape and all that stuff. So, it's a little disappointing to see that he's not playing very well. But again, you look at the Atlanta Hawks right now, they're 3-2. Obviously, they got Miami and Washington, Charlotte, in that division, and it's going to be a competitive one. It's going to be more competitive than it once was, a couple years back. Washington is the surprise here. I know, Sean, you're going to say that it's not. But I think Washington is because of the the depth that they have, and I shared that tweet with you, Sean, about Cuffs talking about the Washington Wizards. But kind of going back to the Hawks, because this is what this topic was mainly about, and more so Trae Young and getting fined 15K. I think the Atlanta Hawks are in a fine position right now. Their bench, their depth, I think it's really good, and I could see this team, like I said, making a huge push to getting far in these NBA playoffs. And I think that's what they're striving for, right? DeAndre Hunter looking like a very good player. And I do believe that right now, the Atlanta Hawks are one of the most, I would say one of, I still think the Lakers can be that. I know that they're struggling right now, and I know Tar Heel Nation is smiling ear to ear knowing that the Lakers are struggling. But I still think that when I look at this Hawks team, I think they're so strong, they're so in depth, and you look at everything that's going on right now in the league. I just think that this team is going to be a very good team from years to come. And again, you have a lot of great players. They're perfectly balanced. Yeah, we'll talk about it once we're done talking about the Hawks. I do want to talk about them a little bit because they are kind of one of the surprises in the NBA. And again, you got Danilo Gallinari. It'd be interesting to see, like, if this doesn't work out, what they do with his contract, if they try and get someone else. But I really like this roster, man. You got Trae Young, you got DeLon Wright, Lou Williams, Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish, balling out right now, and that's something that you love to see. You got DeAndre Hunter coming back from the injury, playing awesome. Kevin Herter, kind of still there, kind of doing his thing. John Collins getting re-signed. Excuse me, doing his thing as well. And again, I don't think the Hawks are going to be in too much of a panic right now. Obviously, it's only 1 week into the season. 3-2, they're doing good. Obviously, Miami and Washington are going to be tough foes. I'm not really a big believer in Miami, but again, they always prove me wrong. I'm never going to doubt Eric Spoelstra with his team. But when it comes to the Hawks, I think they'll be just fine. I think they'll make the Eastern Conference Finals. You heard it from me. I just think that right now the Hawks are still trying to feel each other out, trying to see what's going to be going on. And again, this is one of those things that we have to look at when it comes to the Hawks and kind of figure out what is their strategy, as it pertains to, Trae Young being frustrated. I understand, the foul calls are not coming. So I'm curious to see how he's going to kind of respond this offseason, or I should say this season, to it. He's already said that he's frustrated. I know that people like to, may have taken his comments out of context. And again, I gotta be frustrated as well if I knew that a strategy that I used is not viable anymore, right? You have to change your game. You have to adapt. And I think that Trae Young's game is so easy to adapt because he's such a willing passer. He's able to, get people the rock in places that I think a lot of people don't expect it. Whereas James Harden, on the other hand, he is a facilitator, but not in the same way that Trae Young is. And I feel like Trae Young's a little bit better in that regard. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of Trae Young, what he's doing right now? I think that, this team is going to be just fine. I think Trae Young is going to be just fine, even with this new NBA rule change. I understand it's frustrating, but at the same time, I think that it's going to work out for the best for these guys. So again, let me know in the comment section down below whether you guys think I'm right or whether I'm wrong, and what's going to be moving on to the next topic. And again, let me know in the comment section down below or in the live chat if you're here live on the stream.